So let's go into your first spread here. We do have the Prince of Wands as well as the Four of Pentacles. Now, the Prince of Wands indicates excitement, new voyage, new journey. This is the energy that you are embodying, I feel, and it's actually rare to see Libra as an air sign embodying the energy of a fire sign. But what this indicates to me is movement, a lot of momentum coming into your life, a lot of exciting opportunities that are there for the taking. And I feel like you are heading into the new journey, the new phase in your life in a very, very enthusiastic manner. A lot of you might be physically relocating. A lot of you are trying to explore your territory because this is the card about the adventurer, someone who's very fearless, very bold, and they're out looking for fun and excitement as well. Okay, so this is the energy that you're bringing to the table. We do have the Four of Pentacles, and the Four of Pentacles indicates a situation where financially you might not have the means to achieve your dreams just yet, okay? So there's still a little bit of budgeting that needs to take place, a little bit of bookkeeping, a little bit of like managing what's coming in and what's coming out when it comes to your pocketbook and when it comes to your financial resources. I feel that you have enough, you have more than enough, I feel. You're in a space of abundance, but it's telling you not to be extravagant. You're still very, very conservative when it comes to, your financial resources. What I'm also sensing as well is a lot of you, you're starting on you're exploring some area. So I feel like it's a new environment. You're really just ecstatic to be here. And there's a lot to do, a lot of people to do the meet and greet with, and a lot of new territory to explore, to conquer. Like a lot of things that need to be done is what I'm feeling, but it's done in a spirit of excitement. So you're in a really happy, excitable state right now. But I feel like I'm feeling like for a lot of you, there's fear. There's fear about letting go. There's fear about not having that safety net, that security blanket. So you're still holding on to old ways that might hinder your ability to really embrace the new journey, the new part of your life. So just something to keep in mind about, okay? But I do feel finances is something that you are thinking about. You're saving up for some type of a big ticket item is what I'm sensing. You're saving up for something, possibly even building up your investment portfolios or possibly saving up a huge chunk of money. And I feel like in order to do something, okay? So I feel like you're saving up because you're seeing that there is going to be a big expenditure in the works for you. In terms of your financial situation, we do have the Nine of Pentacles as well as the Prince of Swords. So first of all, let's talk about this as an energy. The Prince of Swords, this is a person that is very, very creative. They're very courageous. They're very articulate and very intelligent, okay? So this can be you or another air sign, okay? But let me just read this as you. So the Prince of Swords is someone who charts new territory, and they're very bold and just, they will go where others fear to tread. So this is kind of like rush in first, ask questions later. But they're also very intelligent, and they get in a lot of good, intuitive messages. So they know where they need to go, and they're pretty well protected, I feel. And they're geared up for battle as well. So I feel like for a lot of you on the financial front, you're just really ready, okay? And financially, with the Nine of Pentacles, this usually indicates like somebody who is self-employed. They have the luxury of letting their resources build up over time. So they might have investment portfolios. They might work on a client basis. They might have a very lax work schedule, and they might be able to come and go as they please because their work schedule is very flexible. It usually indicates having that type of flexibility in your work environment where you're able to come and go as you please, where you're also able to dictate what other people need. So both of these things indicate to me that a lot of you might be wanting to shift into the work environment that provides more flexibility, more flexible hours. So you might shift into a main source of employment opportunity to being a consultant and work for yourself. A lot of you might shift from like traditional work into, self-employment as well, where you're going to invest in things and let your assets grow for you. Overall, I feel like financially, I feel like you definitely have enough, okay? And it's telling you to be very, very careful, very methodical when it comes to investment for this month, because I feel like you might rush in too fast without all the facts. So that's the first thing. The other thing I'm sensing is there is somebody that is really inspirational in your life. I feel like I feel like there's a sense of attraction here. Not in a romantic way, but I feel like it's more like it seems to me like you might know somebody who's self-employed and their lifestyle, they travel all the time. They might be in and out like constantly. And you're really admiring that lifestyle and you're trying to get yourself financially to that point where you can emulate the lifestyle that they have. You might be dealing with another air sign, Aquarius, Gemini, and Libra. And this could just also be just your energy trying to get yourself financially stable. So I feel like you're building something and you're walking along, definitely along the right path in order for you to achieve this goal of yours, okay? So I feel like there's a lot of communication back and forth about self-employment gigs and self-employment opportunities or working, shifting to a client base. So you're shifting, you're driving, I see you moving around to meet clients, to meet other people that you work for, or to work in a consultancy basis. So in terms of, let me see, this is a relationship. I feel like this might be a relationship here. We do have the Queen of Wands and the Five of Pentacles. We talked about your financial situation. Okay, so we have the Queen of Wands as well as the Five of Pentacles. Now, the Five of Pentacles, when it comes up in a non-finance type of a thing, it usually denotes a situation that is very, very karmic. I read this as the massive karma card, okay? And it usually indicates something that is coming in from the external environment into our lives, and we don't really have much control over the way that it plays out. However, we do have great control, great power over how we react to a certain situation. So a lot of you might be dealing with a fire sign. So this is a Sagittarius, an Aries, or a Leo. This person is coming in as a fire sign. They are somebody who's a little bit aggressive. They seem to me to like know who they are. They're like, somebody that might be in a managerial position. They have a high status. Although a lot of people look up to them. They're very like, their communication is very directed. I feel like they are quite caring. They are successful in their field. And I definitely feel that the way that you communicate with this person, you both do not see eye to eye with one another. But I definitely feel there is a lot of mutual care and assistance and affection being exchanged between you and this person. For some of you, it could just be like a manager, a higher up, somebody that you're working with, someone that has like some type of influence and control over you. And I feel like for a lot of you, you might be wanting to wow them with your intelligence. You might want to win them over. You admire this person. And for others, like if you admire this person, I feel like for others of you, this person is very distant, okay? So normally with fire signs, they're very like wear their hearts on their sleeves and just very friendly, outgoing. I feel like they are all of these things. But when it comes to personal relationships, they're very like hands off. They're very like, they're very good about demarcating boundaries. So especially if this is somebody in the professional environment, I feel like you're going to feel a little bit smitten by this person. There's this sense almost like your soul recognizes the other person from a previous life. That's what I'm feeling with this karma card. And it basically indicates to me that as well, that you might be somewhat financially linked up with another, like a fire sign, either via children, expenses, joint assets, and things like that. And it's basically saying that there is a karmic link. There are cords of attachment as it relates to this person. And I do feel that for good or bad, you are going to have to decide what you need to do. And I feel like this might be somebody that you've had a long history with, and you're trying to, they might hit some rough times, a rough patch in their lives, and they might come in and need assistance from you. But the nature of this person is that they're very, very proud. So I feel like you're going to have to read between the lines, and you're going to have to like let your walls down, okay, so that they can approach you. If they need help or something like that, I feel like they're really proud and they're going to skirt beat around the bush. And it's really important for you to be a little bit more emotionally sensitive and delicate when dealing with this person for this month, okay? In terms of your communication, we do have the Princess of Swords as well as the Four of Wands. The Four of Wands indicates a new house move, a new house environment, and a very, very harmonious state of living, okay? So for a lot of you, you might simply have a lot of communications when it comes to people that you are living with within your household. This can be, family members in the house environment that you grew up in, or a lot of, I feel like, people that you are currently living with right now as roommates, as like housemates, or even a new situation that you're dealing with. What I'm feeling is there is an air sign here, an Aquarius, a Gemini, and a Libra, and this could be your energy as well. That is being brought into the fold, okay? So you might be seeing somebody, you might bring them into the fold, you might be moving in to live with them as roommates, as strictly platonic roommates. What I'm also feeling is there's a lot of discussions about marriage, there's a lot of discussions about engagement, taking relationships to the next level, wanting to create more of a commitment. And I feel like for a lot of you, you are definitely not at the point where you're ready and you're committed. So if you are in a relationship with another person and they're, wanting to take things to the next level, and they're telling you, how do you feel about marriage and motherhood, fatherhood, having children, and, growing old together? I feel like a lot of you are at a point where you're very, very much career oriented and very, ambitious when it comes to accumulating a lot of wealth for yourself, that you might not feel like you're ready. So you might feel anxious about having this conversation with another person because you feel that you're just not ready, and you feel that there's a lot of things that's going to restrict your movement and your freedom when it comes to settling down and having another relationship. A lot of you also, I feel like you have gotten out of a relationship that you've been in with for quite some time, and you're trying to break free, you're trying to live the life, you're trying to enjoy yourself, and you're trying to grab opportunities when they come in, so you don't really want the restrictions of that type of a relationship anymore, okay? But overall, I do feel a house move that might have happened for a lot of you. And I feel like whatever house you moved into, it looks really nice. Like I feel like big gardens. I feel a lot of people and a lot of big gardens coming through, okay? And I feel like a very strong... I feel like a very strong woman connected with your household environment, a very strong, determined, and solid woman. Okay, like not just a girl, not just someone who's like wishy-washy, but someone who's quite alpha, associated with your house environment. And I feel likewise, it could be a male, but some very alpha energy in your home environment, okay? And I do sense there might be a little bit of an ego clash between you and that person. So just be very careful. Don't make any judgments, and, give people the benefit of the doubt this month, okay? Be very, very, very diplomatic. I feel like you're going to be, the energy is trying you for this month, but be very diplomatic, okay? In terms of your advice, we do have the Hierophant. The Hierophant is coming through as an advice. This is a card about conservatism, okay? So there's nothing wrong with it, just depending on what context you're using it in. So this is a card about family, tradition, institution, working in a capacity where you're going to have to obey the law, you're going to have to obey rules, you're going to have to obey whatever procedure that has been there before you, even though they're inefficient, even though you feel like there are better ways to do this and there are shortcuts that you've already created for yourself. It's really important to follow everything to the T and to do things in a very methodical, in a very I guess like predictable manner, okay? So this is not the month for you to branch off and play the wild card. I feel like you have a lot of energy. You have a huge sense of individualism and wanting to explore, wanting to like rock the boat a little bit. And I don't usually get this for Libras. Libras are very like balanced people. So I don't know what's going on with you guys. You might be in the presence of someone who's very alpha, and they are exuding a huge influence on you where they want you to break the rules a little bit or bend the rules and be a little bit more adventurous. So I feel like this energy is permeating your emotional state and also your work environment. So be very, very conservative when it comes to work and follow procedures, follow things to a T. By the end of the month, like towards the very last week of the month, if it's absolutely not working for you, then you can, have a discussion about it. But I feel like try it, implement it, and just, go with the flow, do what everyone else does, and just rough it out until the end of the month. Then if it's not working, you can go back and revise, but at least push through. That Mercury in retrograde is going to end on the 22nd, and then you can go back and revise things to make them better, to make them more efficient. Okay, so one of the things that's going to be frustrating for you this month is dealing with bureaucracy, dealing with big institutions. So this can be government institutions, this can be school institutions, but the way that they're doing things is very slow, very methodical, very detail oriented, and I feel like they're missing the big picture. So that's going to be a frustrating thing for you to work within. Okay, so there are some limits, restrictions coming through, and I feel that for a lot of you it might just be simply financial restrictions. Okay, a lot for others of you, it might just be like dealing with people who are very, very different from you, and they do things a different way, and they're really fixed and rigid in their way, so they're not going to change, so you might butt heads a little bit. And speaking of butting heads, we do have the conflict card coming through here. This is a card about valor, about self-defense, and about standing up for the things that you believe in. And one of the things I would say here is, the messages seem very conflicting, right? So you have here order and tradition, and you have here defending your beliefs, right? And in the middle, we have the Seven of Pentacles, which is a card about assessment. Okay, so what it's telling you here is, honestly, you're coming into opposition with another person, and I feel like it might be a fire sign, a Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo, and this person is really strong in themselves. I feel like they know what they know, and they're going to defend it, and you're going to be put in a position where you are going to have to defend yourself as well. So you can't just be sitting on the fence. You are going to have to prove, like, this is what I believe, and here's the empirical evidence as to why I believe what I believe in. And I feel like you're going to get a lot of I don't feel like it's criticism, but I feel like you're going to get a lot of follow-up questions. No matter what you say, people are going to ask you a lot of follow-up questions, and I feel like that's going to frustrate you because, when other people express like a different point of view or dissent to whatever your view is, you always are very diplomatic, and you try to ask them, like, to understand where they're coming from. I feel like this new crowd that you're dealing with, especially for this month, they're a little bit more argumentative, and they're trying to get you to convince them. And and you feel that information exchange is not about convincing one side or the other. It's more about laying things on the line factually, and then whoever wants to believe whatever it is that they want to believe, they can pick and choose what they want to believe based on the evidence that is all laid out. But you're dealing with somebody who's a little bit more aggressive, and I feel like that's what's really going to be like getting under your skin just a little bit for this month. You feel like everything is a little bit of a battle, and you just want to, enjoy life. So I feel like that's what's coming in. So they're telling you, assess the situation, pick your battles, okay? And honestly, if someone is constantly giving you that sense of like defensiveness or defensive energy whenever you're dealing with them, it's really important to know that it's because they're like that because you are bringing about, you're challenging the established norms, you're challenging their way of life, and they feel very, very threatened. So be very delicate in how you handle situations, in how you handle like volatile, defensive people. Just be very, very careful, because what I feel is like, it's telling you to assess, okay? Assess where the other person is coming from, and then catering the communication in a way where, you establish like causal chain of events, so that you can tell them, here's what it is in the past, here's what it is now, and here's what it's going to be like in the future. So if you do it in a very methodical, in a very structured way, you're going to win over some allies, and you're going to be able to get them to see your point of view and to see things from your end, because I feel like you're challenging somebody's status quo, and I feel like they're doing it unintentionally, like they're not even aware of it, but what you're saying might be a little bit more progressive, might be a little bit more I don't feel you're the unconventional types. Aquarius are not Libras. I feel that what you're saying is a lot more factual, is a lot more progressive, and this is based on, newest findings, newest development, so you know what you're talking about. And as a result, somebody who's really like fixed in their opinions, they might have outdated opinions. Honestly, they might have like, um I want to say like they're just really really conservative, and you're going to encounter this energy. Okay, so Libras, I feel like you're going to be okay, but it's going to feel a little bit frustrating. All right, having to like explain yourself all the time. I feel like that's what's happening for this month, and it's going to feel a little bit frustrating.